The throne room of the Valthyrian Empire fell silent as Queen Lysira's words echoed. Through the crystalline halls, Roman stood frozen among the crowd of dignitaries, ambassadors, and nobles from a dozen star systems. Every eye in the chamber turned toward him, the only human present, Autumn, the Queen's handmaiden and Roman's closest friend aboard the imperial station, felt her breath catch in her throat. She stood beside the raised dais, her hand instinctively moving toward the ceremonial blade at her hip. This couldn't be happening, not here. Not now. The Valthyrians were an ancient race, their empire spanning 300 systems. They were elegant beings of translucent skin and luminous eyes, their society built on bloodlines that stretched back millennia. The Queen's pregnancy had been announced just days ago, and the entire empire celebrated until this moment. "Your Majesty," Roman finally managed, his voice steady despite the chaos erupting in his mind. "I don't understand." Queen Lysira descended from her throne, her flowing robes shimmering like starlight. She was beautiful in the way distant galaxies were beautiful, cold, perfect, and impossibly far away. Or so Roman had thought. "The physicians confirmed it this morning," she said, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "The child carries human DNA. Your DNA, Ambassador Roman." The crowd exploded into whispers. Several Valthyrian lords reached for their weapons. The Empire's High Chancellor, Lord Theron, stepped forward, his face contorted with rage. "This is an abomination. A human has defiled our queen. He must be executed immediately." Autumn moved before thinking, placing herself between Roman and the advancing guards. "You'll have to go through me first." "Autumn, don't," Roman started, but she cut him off with a sharp look. "We don't even know how this is possible," Autumn said, addressing the Queen directly. "Humans and Valthyrians aren't biologically compatible. Every xenobiologist in the galaxy knows this." The Queen smiled, and for the first time since Roman had met her 6 months ago, he saw genuine warmth in her expression. "That's precisely the point, dear Autumn. It shouldn't be possible. Yet here we are." Roman's mind raced back through the past months. He'd been assigned as Earth's ambassador to the Valthyrian court, a position most had considered a punishment. Humanity was barely a century into space travel, still considered primitive by most galactic standards. The Valthyrians had only accepted an embassy because of a trade agreement for human agricultural technology, something the ancient empire desperately needed after a blight devastated their food production systems. He'd worked closely with the Queen on the relief efforts, long nights reviewing distribution plans, shared meals as they coordinated with Earth's botanists. That moment in the gardens when she'd asked him about Earth's legends, and he'd told her about the stars humans used to wish upon before they learned to travel between them. There was no, "We never," Roman stammered, his face flushing. "I know," Queen Lysira said gently. "That's what makes this so extraordinary. We never touched, not in any intimate way. Yet 3 weeks ago, I began feeling the stirrings of new life." The physicians were baffled. They ran every test. "The conclusion is undeniable. This child is both Valthyrian and human." "Impossible." Lord Theron spat. "She lies to protect her human lover." "I lie about nothing." The Queen's voice turned sharp as broken glass. "And I suggest you remember who you address, Chancellor." Autumn's analytical mind was already working through the puzzle. "The gardens," she said suddenly. 3 weeks ago, there was that solar flare. The station's shields failed for exactly 47 seconds. Roman remembered. He and the Queen had been in the royal gardens, examining Earth's wheat samples when the alarms blared. They'd been bathed in raw stellar radiation before the backup systems engaged. "The physicians found something else," the Queen continued. "A new genetic structure they've never encountered. It appears that under specific radiation conditions, human and Valthyrian genetic material can communicate, merge, even without physical conception." The silence that followed was profound. One of the elder scientists in the chamber, a stooped Valthyrian with silver-streaked skin, stepped forward. "The human genome," she said slowly, "is remarkably adaptive. It's why they survived their harsh world. Their DNA actively seeks to evolve, to overcome obstacles, perhaps. Perhaps when exposed to Valthyrian genetic material in such an energized state, life found a way." Roman finished. A quote from an ancient Earth film his father loved. This changes everything. Another noble breathed. If humans can bridge the compatibility barrier, they could unite the divided races. Someone else added, or destroy the purity of our bloodlines. Lord Theron shouted, "Purity?" Autumn's voice rang out, sharp and clear. "Your precious bloodlines have been closed for so long. Your people can barely produce offspring anymore. 1 in every 20 Valtherian pregnancies ends in miscarriage. Your empire is dying, and you know it." The truth of her words settled over the chamber like ash. The Valtherian birth rate crisis had been whispered about for decades, but never openly acknowledged. Queen Lysara placed a hand over her abdomen. "This child represents hope, not just for my people or for humanity, but for all the isolated species in this galaxy who can no longer sustain themselves. If one impossible bridge can form, others can too. And if the child is born wrong," Lord Theron challenged. "If it's a monster," Roman finally found his voice, stepping forward to stand beside Autumn. "Then we deal with it together. But I've spent 6 months among your people. I've seen your art, your music, your capacity for joy. I've seen the Queen work 18-hour days to save her people from starvation. If this child carries even half of her strength and compassion, they'll be extraordinary human, Valtherian, or something beautifully new." The Queen met his eyes, and Roman saw fear there, but also determination. She extended her hand toward him. "Will you stand with me, Roman of Earth? As this child's father, whatever that means in this unprecedented situation." Roman looked at Autumn, who gave him the smallest nod. Then he took the Queen's hand. "I will." Lord Theron made one last attempt. "The Council will never accept. The Council will accept what I decree." Queen Lysara's voice carried the weight of 300 systems, or they will find themselves replaced by those with vision, enough to see beyond their own extinction. As Roman stood beside the Queen, Autumn watching with a mixture of pride and concern, he realized that humanity's role in the galaxy had just fundamentally changed. They weren't just the newcomers anymore, the primitives playing at civilization. They were the bridge, and sometimes, Roman thought, the most important role in the universe wasn't to be the strongest or the wisest. It was simply to be the one who could connect what everyone else thought impossible to join. The child growing in Queen Lysara's womb would be the first of a new age, and Roman, a simple human who'd only wanted to do his job well, would be remembered as the father who helped birth a galactic revolution. The end.